Let's start by talking about something that trips up almost everyone, the trap of being nice to a narcissist. I want you to really hear me on this. Being nice isn't the same as being weak in general, but when it comes to dealing with a narcissist, it can be a dangerous mistake. Most people think, if I'm kind, if I'm patient, if I go out of my way to accommodate them, they'll like me. They'll respect me. Things will go smoothly. That's exactly what a narcissist wants you to think. They thrive on that. The more you bend, the more you give, the more they take. It becomes a cycle, a never-ending cycle where your energy, your time, your attention are all drained for their gain. Here's the thing about narcissists. They are masters at reading your intentions. They can sense when you want to avoid conflict, when you want approval, when you're hoping for connection. And the moment they see that, they exploit it. They don't see your kindness as kindness. They don't see your compromise as generosity. They see it as an open door, as weakness as an opportunity. So every please and thank you, every attempt to keep things smooth, every effort to stay polite becomes another brick in the bridge that leads right into their control. You might be thinking, but I don't want to be mean. I don't want to hurt anyone. And I get that. None of us want to feel like we're cold or unfeeling. But here's the reality. Being perpetually nice to a narcissist doesn't protect them from hurt. It protects them from consequences, and it comes at your expense. It's a kindness that backfires, a generosity that's weaponized against you. And that's why you have to start seeing it for what it really is, a trap. It starts small. Maybe it's agreeing to something you don't want to do just to avoid their anger. Maybe it's listening to excuses, making excuses for their behavior, or brushing off their manipulations with a smile. And over time, you start losing yourself, your needs, your desires, your boundaries. They all begin to feel negotiable. And that's exactly the point. Because the narcissist isn't negotiating, they are taking. Every concession you make isn't seen as a gift. It's seen as confirmation that you'll keep giving, that you can be pushed, that your limits are elastic. The truth is, being nice in this context is more about protecting yourself from their reactions than it is about genuine goodwill. And here's where most people get it wrong. They think they can outsmart the narcissist with niceness, that if they just keep smiling, keep agreeing, keep accommodating, eventually the narcissist will change. That's not how it works. Narcissists don't change because you're nice. They only change if they see a consequence for their behavior, and even then, only superficially. They respond to power, not to pleasantries. So the first step is awareness. Recognize the pattern. Notice when your niceness is really a form of self-protection or avoidance. Notice when it leaves you exhausted, resentful, or doubting yourself. That's your signal that it's not kindness, it's a trap. And awareness is the start of breaking free. Because once you see it clearly, you can start making choices that prioritize your energy, your peace, and your boundaries over the narcissist's satisfaction. You have to internalize this. Being nice to a narcissist doesn't earn you love, respect, or harmony. It earns you manipulation, exploitation, and frustration. And that's why the shift has to happen. You can be polite, you can be civil, but you cannot let politeness be the door they walk through to control your life. Your energy, your time, your attention, they are not currency for a narcissist to spend as they please. You start by refusing to give it away unnecessarily. You start by understanding that nice has limits. And beyond those limits, you protect yourself. It's a hard truth, but an essential one. You cannot reason with a narcissist with niceness alone. You cannot buy your peace by accommodating their whims. You reclaim your life not by being nice, but by being aware, by setting limits, and by respecting your own value first. Everything else flows from that realization. Once you understand the trap, you stop falling for it, and that's the moment your power begins to return. Once you've recognized the trap of being nice to a narcissist, the next step is one of the most powerful tools you have: setting boundaries and doing it without apology. This is where most people stumble. They think boundaries mean confrontation. They think boundaries mean conflict. They think boundaries will make them look mean or rude. But here's the truth: boundaries are not about being mean. Boundaries are about protecting yourself, your energy, and your peace. They are a declaration of self-respect, and when it comes to dealing with a narcissist, boundaries are non-negotiable. A narcissist's goal is control, plain and simple. They will push, prod, test, and manipulate to see where your limits lie. And if you don't have clear boundaries, if you don't enforce them consistently, you become a playground for their demands. That's why the power of a firm boundary cannot be overstated. It's the line they cannot cross, and it is your first real form of resistance. But here's the catch: you cannot make it flimsy. You cannot waver. You cannot apologize or rationalize every time you enforce it. Because the moment you start explaining, the moment you start pleading your case, the moment you qualify your limits, you give them room to maneuver, you make the boundary negotiable. And narcissists smell negotiable from a mile away. Let me give you an example. Maybe a narcissist constantly calls you at all hours, expecting immediate attention. You've been nice, so you answer. You've been accommodating, so you explain why you can't talk now. You apologize for setting a limit, and somehow you end up feeling guilty. That's the old pattern. The new pattern is different. You set the boundary firmly. I do not take calls after 9 p.m. No explanation needed. No apology needed. You say it once, you hold it, and you stay consistent. It's simple, but it's transformative. You are no longer giving them the power to invade your time. You are no longer negotiating your peace. You are reclaiming it. And here's the thing about boundaries: they are not a punishment for the narcissist. They are not an attempt to hurt or control them. They are simply a reflection of your value. They say, this is who I am. This is what I will accept. This is what I won't. And the beauty of it is that when you enforce boundaries with calm confidence, without drama, without pleading, without over-explaining, the narcissist is forced to interact with you on your terms. That's a game changer. They cannot manipulate what they cannot breach. It's also important to understand that boundaries are not a one-time declaration. Narcissists are relentless. They will test them again and again. They will push to see if you've weakened, if you've softened, if you've reverted to old habits. That's why consistency is everything. Every time you enforce a boundary, you are reinforcing your own self-respect. Every time you hold your ground without apology, you are sending a message, not to them, but to yourself, that your peace and your limits matter more than their approval. Most people struggle here because they equate boundaries with conflict. They worry that saying no will trigger anger, disappointment, or withdrawal. And yes, narcissists will respond. They will test, manipulate, and even lash out. But that reaction is not a reflection of you. That reaction is a reflection of their need for control. The stronger and calmer you remain in your enforcement of boundaries, the less power their reactions hold over you. It's not about winning an argument. It's about protecting your space, your energy, and your sanity. And let's not forget that boundaries also teach others how to treat you. By setting limits, you are defining what is acceptable and what is not. You are signaling that your life, your time, and your emotions are not negotiable. You are demonstrating self-respect, which is the one language narcissists understand more than anything else. They may test, they may resist, they may push, but boundaries, done consistently, done calmly, become the invisible armor that shields you from their influence. So remember this: boundaries are not cruel, they are not unkind, and they are not negotiable when dealing with a narcissist. They are a declaration of self-worth. They are your defense. They are the difference between giving your power away and keeping it. And the moment you enforce them without apology, without explanation, without hesitation, you begin to reclaim control over your life in a way nothing else can. Once you've recognized the trap of being nice and begun setting boundaries, the next step is to learn the art of emotional detachment from a narcissist's reactions. This is one of the hardest lessons for most people because we are wired to respond to emotion. When someone lashes out, manipulates, or criticizes us, we instinctively feel hurt, angry, or defensive. And that's exactly what a narcissist is counting on. They feed on your emotional responses. Every reaction, every flare-up, every moment you feel unsettled is fuel for their control. The more emotionally engaged you are, the more power they have over you. Now, I don't want you to misunderstand me. Detachment doesn't mean becoming cold, heartless, or uncaring. It doesn't mean pretending to be unaffected or suppressing your feelings indefinitely. It means consciously choosing where to invest your energy and learning not to hand it over to someone who will exploit it. It's about response over reaction. It's about control over chaos. When you detach emotionally, you stop giving them what they want most: your attention and your vulnerability. Let's break this down. A narcissist thrives on drama. They want to provoke, to trigger, To make you defensive, it's how they assert power. If you react, they win. If you argue, they win. If you feel hurt, frustrated, or guilty, they win. And the subtle danger is that reacting feels natural. It feels human. But in this case, your natural response is being weaponized against you. Detachment is the skill of choosing a different response, one that protects your inner peace and robs them of the satisfaction of control. This starts with awareness. The moment you feel the pull to respond, especially with anger, frustration, or guilt, pause. Take a breath, recognize what's happening. Understand that the narcissist is not interested in your perspective, your feelings, or the truth. They are only interested in how they can manipulate the situation for their benefit. Once you see this clearly, you can shift your energy, you can respond calmly, briefly, or not at all. And that shift is revolutionary because it removes the fuel that keeps the narcissist's control alive. Detachment also requires redefining your expectations. Most of us engage with narcissists hoping for fairness, understanding. We want them to listen, to empathize, to behave reasonably. But here's the hard truth: a narcissist is incapable of these things in any consistent way. They cannot give what they do not have. So every time you expect them to react in a way that aligns with your needs, you set yourself up for frustration. Emotional detachment is about letting go of these expectations. It's about accepting that their reactions are not reflections of you. They are reflections of their own insecurities, needs, and patterns. It also helps to develop internal anchors, ways to remain grounded when they try to provoke you. This could be simple mental reminders: their anger is not my problem. Their criticism does not define my worth. I will not engage in chaos that does not serve me. These anchors are small but powerful. Each time you use them, you reinforce your control over your own emotions and protect your mental and emotional space. Another key point is learning to respond strategically, not react impulsively. A calm, measured response, or no response at all, changes the dynamic entirely. When a narcissist expects an explosive reaction and doesn't get it, it disrupts their pattern. You are no longer predictable, no longer fuel for their game. Silence, brief statements, or simply walking away can be far more powerful than trying to reason or argue. Detachment doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means interacting with it in a way that preserves your energy rather than depleting it. The beauty of emotional detachment is that it creates space. Space to think clearly, to act deliberately, and to choose what truly matters. It creates freedom from manipulation and from the constant pull of their drama. And the longer you practice it, the easier it becomes to maintain your boundaries, your peace, and your self-respect. You begin to notice that their attempts to provoke you lose their grip. Their words, their criticisms, their manipulations, they become less frightening, less urgent, less controlling. And that is when you reclaim your power fully. So remember, detachment is not avoidance, it is protection. It is not apathy, it is clarity. It is the conscious decision to refuse to be a source of energy for someone who seeks only to exploit it. And once you master this, you step into a space where nothing they do can shake your inner stability, because your peace is no longer dependent on their approval or their reactions. Once you've recognized the trap, set boundaries, and learned to detach emotionally, the next step is one of the most powerful tools. You can use the power of silence and distance. This is where most people struggle because it feels uncomfortable. We are conditioned to think that every problem requires a conversation, every slight requires a response, and every manipulation requires correction. But when it comes to dealing with a narcissist, that mindset is exactly what keeps you trapped. Silence and distance are not avoidance. They are protection. They are the weapons of peace that allow you to regain control over your life. Think about it for a moment. A narcissist thrives on interaction. They live for the drama, the arguments, the emotional spikes, and the attention you provide. The more you engage, the more fuel you give them. They want to provoke, to trigger, to draw you into a cycle that they can control. Silence, in this context, is disarming. It robs them of the reaction they are seeking. It removes the drama from the equation. And distance, physical, emotional, or social, is the ultimate boundary because it limits the opportunities for them to interfere in your life. Now, I know what you might be thinking, but won't they get angry if I distance myself? Won't they retaliate? And the answer is yes, sometimes they will. But here's the critical point: their anger, their attempts to manipulate, or their pushback are not reflections of your failure. They're reflections of their need for control. When you respond by maintaining silence or keeping your distance, you are not participating in their game. You are refusing to give them power over your energy, your attention, and your peace. That is where true strength lies. Silence can take many forms. Sometimes it's choosing not to respond immediately to a text, an email, or a provocative statement. Sometimes it's saying nothing in the middle of an argument rather than trying to explain yourself or prove your point. Sometimes it's simply removing yourself from the room, the conversation, or the situation entirely. In each case, the goal is the same. You are preserving your energy and refusing to feed the narcissist's need for control. Distance works hand in hand with silence. This doesn't always mean cutting someone out entirely, although in some cases that is necessary, but it does mean limiting exposure to the ways they can manipulate you. This could mean reducing contact, not sharing personal details, avoiding situations where they can provoke you, or stepping back from relationships that leave you feeling drained. Every step of distance is a reclaiming of your space and your peace. The narcissist will notice, yes, but their awareness is not your problem. Your responsibility is to yourself, and your priority is your well-being. One of the most empowering aspects of silence and distance is that it shifts the dynamic entirely. A narcissist is used to constant engagement, constant emotional feedback, constant validation. When you stop providing it, the ground shifts beneath them. They no longer have control over your reactions. They no longer get the immediate satisfaction of manipulating your emotions. And the longer you maintain silence and distance, the less power they have to dictate the terms of your life. You are creating a buffer, a safe zone, a space where your energy belongs to you alone. It's also important to recognize that silence and distance are tools for clarity. When you are constantly engaged with a narcissist, it's nearly impossible to see the situation clearly. Their manipulation clouds your judgment, their provocations spike your emotions, and their behavior can feel overwhelming. By stepping back, you give yourself the gift of perspective. You can observe their actions, recognize patterns, and make decisions from a place of strength rather than reaction. This clarity is essential for reclaiming control and for making choices that serve you rather than feeding into their game. Another benefit is that silence and distance reinforce boundaries without confrontation. Instead of arguing, pleading, or negotiating, you allow your actions, your absence, your calm, your space to speak for themselves. Narcissists are very responsive to what they cannot control. When you create distance and refuse to engage on their terms, you send a message more powerful than words ever could be. You are in charge of your life, and your peace is not up for negotiation. The shift to using silence and distance is not always easy because it requires patience and consistency. The narcissist may try to pull you back into old patterns. They may escalate their behavior, test your limits, or try to provoke a reaction. But each time you maintain your silence, each time you preserve your distance, you reinforce your own power. You are teaching yourself and the narcissist that your peace and your energy are yours to protect, and no one else's needs or manipulations can override that. Silence and distance are not acts of cruelty, they are acts of self-preservation. They are strategies for reclaiming your energy in your life. They are essential steps in breaking free from the cycle of manipulation, drama, and control. And once you embrace them, you will notice a shift. The more you hold your ground, the less power they have over your emotional state, and the more space you create for your own growth, peace, and happiness. Once you've recognized the trap, set boundaries, detached emotionally, and embraced the power of silence and distance, the next step is to redirect your energy towards something far more valuable, yourself. This is where real transformation begins. One of the biggest mistakes people make when dealing with a narcissist is giving away so much of their energy, time, and focus trying to manage or fix someone else. Every attempt to please, every effort to appease, every ounce of attention you pour into them comes at a cost, your cost. And the moment you realize that, you can start shifting your energy inward toward your growth, your peace, and your self-respect. Think about it like this: for so long, your energy has been spent defending, explaining, accommodating, and reacting. It's been funneled into a black hole that gives nothing back. And all that energy you've been pouring out, it belongs to you, not to them. Redirecting it toward yourself doesn't mean you are abandoning compassion or empathy. It means you are reclaiming what is rightfully yours. It means investing in your own growth rather than sustaining someone else's control over you. The first part of redirecting your energy is recognizing where it has been wasted. Look back at the time, the emotional labor, the effort you've spent trying to change a narcissist's behavior, trying to avoid conflict, trying to make them like you or validate you. See it clearly for what it was: energy that could have fueled your own dreams, your own happiness, your own peace. And once you see that, you start making a conscious choice. I will no longer give my power away. I will no longer invest in someone who seeks only to take. Instead, I will invest in myself. Investing in yourself means prioritizing your own growth and well-being. It means building confidence that no one can undermine. It means nurturing the parts of your life that matter: your passions, your health, your relationships with people who truly value you. Every hour spent on yourself, every moment dedicated to your own goals and peace, is a reclamation of power. It's the opposite of being drained by a narcissist. It's about creating a life where your happiness is not contingent on anyone else's approval, manipulation, or recognition. This also means learning to enjoy your own company. Narcissists are exhausting because they demand constant validation. They feed off attention and approval. When you redirect your energy inward, you learn that you do not need someone else's approval to feel worthy. You start to enjoy your own thoughts, your own accomplishments, and your own progress. You begin to cultivate self-sufficiency, not as a shield to keep people out, but as a source of strength that anchors you in your own value. Another crucial aspect is emotional replenishment. When a narcissist drains you, it is easy to become depleted, cynical, and reactive. Redirecting energy toward yourself is about refilling your emotional tank. It's about engaging in practices that restore your strength, your focus, and your clarity. This could be time spent on hobbies, exercise, meditation, learning, or simply quiet reflection. Every act of self-care is a powerful declaration: my energy is mine, and I choose how it is spent. Redirecting your energy also empowers you to see life from a new perspective. Instead of obsessing over the narcissist's behavior, you start noticing opportunities for your own growth and fulfillment. You start asking yourself, what do I want? What am I building? Who do I want to become? And the answers to these questions are transformative because they shift your focus from reacting to surviving to proactively creating a life that serves you. Perhaps most importantly, redirecting your energy inward builds resilience. The stronger and more grounded you become in your own values, goals, and self-worth, the less impact a narcissist can have. You begin to feel untouchable, not in arrogance, but in clarity. You are no longer susceptible to their manipulations because your life is no longer entangled in their drama. You are free to grow, free to thrive, and free to prioritize what truly matters. And here's the subtle but powerful truth: the more you focus on yourself, the less power the narcissist has over you. They are no longer the center of your world, no longer the source of your energy, no longer the determinant of your emotions. You reclaim what is yours: time, energy, focus, and peace. Every step you take toward investing in yourself is a step away from the control they once had, and a step toward your full empowerment. Redirecting your energy toward yourself is not selfish. It's necessary. It's the most effective way to reclaim your life from a narcissist. When you focus on yourself, you stop giving them control, you stop letting them dictate your emotions, and you start building a life that is fulfilling, peaceful, and completely your own.